You're enjoying the Black Health Matters Summit. I mean, there's just so much going on, and thanks to our partners from Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Please, please, please go into the virtual exhibit hall. You're going to find tons of resources, people chatting, and networking. So, you definitely want to go to the booths and look at all of our supporters and the resource organizations. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing you to an advocate. And when I say an advocate, it's with a capital A. Ricki Fairley has been out in the field evangelizing why African American women need to be more proactive about their breast health. She will speak to groups. She does television. She does it all because she believes that she can make a difference, and she has. So let me tell you a little bit about Ricki before she speaks on data and breast cancer. Uh, as a stage 3 triple negative breast cancer survivor, thriver, Ricki's personal purpose, passion, mission, ministry is a blessing to us all. She has developed the terminology Black breast cancer breasties, and she talks mostly to all types of organizations about her experience as a triple negative breast cancer survivor thriver. Ricki is an award winning, seasoned marketing veteran that has transformed her strategic acumen into breast cancer advocacy. She co founded and serves as CEO of Touch, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, to address Black breast cancer as a unique and special disease. With an overall goal of reducing mortality rates in African American women. Ricki has also served and founded The Doctor Is In, which is a weekly live webinar on Facebook, and she reaches over 2 million viewers. She works with a variety of prestigious medical institutions, and the Breasties, which she founded, is a united global movement garnering the collective strength of over 60 leading breast cancer organizations around the world. Woo, she's a badass. So, without much further ado, I want to introduce you to Ricki Fairley.
Thanks, Roz. I love you, Roz. It's so great to be here on your platform and to be here with this great audience and the Kappas. And I'm so happy to talk about breast cancer, which I do every day. It's so important. So I'm just going to start with a little data. Um, did you know that Black women get breast cancer at the same incidence as white women, as long as they're over 35 overall? But we die at a 42% higher rate. We have a 42% higher mortality rate. Black women who've had breast cancer have a 71% higher risk of death. These numbers are crazy. Black women who have breast cancer have a 39% higher rate of recurrence. So the breast cancer comes back to Black women, not white women. So these numbers just make Black breast cancer a different disease. It's a different and unique disease that needs different attention and different medications. And right now, our clinical trial participation is 3%, which to me is failure. So that means that in all of the research that's being done for breast cancer drugs, we only 3% of our Black women participating. And that is killing us. It's killing us. Until we get more Black women into research and into like pharma companies understanding our bodies, we're going to keep dying. So at Touch the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, we are working really hard with pharmaceutical partners, with pharmaceutical companies to help them figure out how we can get more Black women into research. So think about it. We know all the reasons why Black people are afraid of research, right? We got Henrietta Lacks, we've got the syphilis study, we've got all this bad history that's kind of making us fearful. But I really think it's deeper than that. And I think that we have to figure out how we can talk to people differently and explain clinical trial research to them. And I am not a scientist. I am not a doctor. I'm a marketing person. I've spent my whole career kind of convincing people to buy brands that they probably don't need. I worked at Coca-Cola for a while and gave a lot of people obesity and cavities and, diabetes and bad diseases. So now I'm trying to transform my strengths into talking about the messaging that has to go into talking about breast cancer and clinical trial research. So my doctor gave me 2 years to live. I will be 10 years in October. So I feel very blessed to do this work. And I know it's my purpose. I know that God left me here to do this work and talk to people about Black breast cancer. So what's going on with clinical trials? So basically, we just are afraid of it. We're afraid of it. And it boils down to us not really understanding how it works. I'm in the middle of doing a research project that's funded by a great sponsor, Genentech, and what we're finding, I did 48 interviews with Black women, and we're now doing research with another 250 Black women to really understand what the fears are. What are the emotional disconnections? How are people feeling badly about clinical trials and not wanting to participate? And one of the main things we found was that we heard women say, I'm going to get the sugar pill and die. And I know that there's a lot of mistrust and that people are afraid of placebo, but the extent to which that is in people's heads is really scary. If you have breast cancer and a doctor gives you a sugar pill, he would be under the jail. Like, that's illegal. And if you look back on all the bad things that happened in history, really that caused a lot of rules to be put in place and laws to be put in place to actually protect patients from anything like that happening. But there is no sugar pill. In cancer research, there is no sugar pill. There's what we call standard of care, meaning you get the drug that's already on the market that you already would have been taking anyways, or you get a drug that could be a new drug, that could be something different or better for your disease. So you're never going to get nothing. You're never going to get the glass of water. You're going to get the standard of care or possibly a new drug. And that basic understanding is something that we all need to think about and look at differently and understand and take that fear off the table. Also, did you know that a lot of drugs pretty much every drug has been in a clinical trial? Advil, Benadryl, vitamins, anything that you take, the pediatric Tylenol that you give to your kids was tested in a clinical trial. So you really are safe. Every drug was tested in a clinical trial. It's not something that's unusual. It's something that has to happen. And some drugs are in a clinical trial for 15 years or longer. So the work's being done for a lot of years, and a lot of safety testing has been done until, before the drug gets to you. So you really shouldn't worry about that. And then if you have breast cancer, really, the clinical trials could be anything that could be any drug that you take right now. The drugs that I took for breast cancer, I'm sorry, my phone that I never answer is ringing. Any drug that you take for breast cancer is a trial in your body. When I went on chemo, I had never taken any of those drugs before. So how they reacted in my body could be different from how they react in another person's body. So you don't really know. You're really taking a similar risk when you take any drug. You don't know whether it's going to work for you or not. You hope that it does, and you pray that it does, and hopefully it does. But with Black breast cancer and Black women, guess what? We don't really know. I mean, I am not the norm. If we've got a 71% higher rate of death and risk of death than white women, something is going on with this medication. Something is going wrong with the treatments. They are not all working for us. And so I'm a blessing, and I know that I'm blessed. So that's why I talk about this stuff. So if you take the sugar pill off the table, there is no sugar pill. And you take the fact that every drug that's on the market is in the clinical trial, what else is there to keep you from being worried about clinical trials? I say it to a lot of women, we as Black women, we are these powerhouses. We take care of everybody. We wake up in the morning, we put on our purple tape, and we go out into the world. We take care of everybody in our families. We take care of the kids, the parents, everybody. We do all the stuff. Guess what? We put ourselves last. We often put ourselves last. We don't put the mask on ourselves. And so we do everything for everybody else. So I say, if you don't want to do it for yourself, if you're afraid of the trial for yourself, do it for your daughter. Do it for your granddaughter. Do it for somebody that you love. Think about the science that you could progress by doing a trial for the people in your life. I have 3 precious granddaughters, the oldest of which is almost 4. And I've got about 10 years before she gets boobs to get rid of Black breast cancer. So she's my purpose. But I would do anything to prevent her from getting breast cancer, my daughters included. And so do it for somebody else. Do it for somebody that you love. If you don't want to do it and you're afraid, do it for somebody you love. The other thing too is that you get better care in a clinical trial. You get a lot of attention. I mean, every move you make, you're checked more often. You get more blood work. You get more scans. You really get a lot of close attention because they're watching you and watching to see your body's reaction to the drug, and they want to track everything that's happening to you. So especially, and it's usually covered by the cost of the pharmaceutical company. Is covers the cost. So you don't have to worry about having insurance or even paying for the care. So you get a higher quality of care. You get more doctors checking you out, more scans, more opportunity for someone to find something wrong with you. And guess what? You can get out of the trial at any time. If you're feeling uncomfortable or you're feeling like nothing's not working the way another chemo drug would, you can say, okay, I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. Or if it's giving you too many side effects. But we have to do the science. I mean, we're dying. We have to do the science. We can't afford to let Black women die with these crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. It's a horrible disease, breast cancer. And I didn't mention earlier, so Black women have a higher mortality rate, but Black women under 35 get breast cancer at twice the rate as white women, and die at 3 times the rate as white women. That's unacceptable. We can't let our babies die. And so many young Black women will go to the doctor, present with a lump and say, I feel something strange in my breast. And the doctor will say, you're young. We're not going to waste the money for a mammogram on you. You don't need it. It's just a cyst. Don't worry. Come back in 6 months. Well, guess what? 6 months later, they're either dead or they're metastatic. And they're not taken seriously. They're dismissed by the doctor, and it often leads to a progressed disease state or death. We can't allow that to happen. So we really, really, really need the drugs to work on our bodies and change the game on how we think about research so that we can make drugs that work for us, because right now they're not necessarily working for us. And I think we just need a clear and basic understanding of how a clinical trial works. And the science, again, is you're going to get standard of care, or you're going to get the drug, a new drug that could save your life. And there are many on the table. One of the reasons why we're dying of breast cancer is that Black women are twice as likely to get a subtype of breast cancer called triple negative breast cancer. You probably have never heard of it, but it's about 10 to 15% of breast cancers, but Black women get it at 2.3 times the rate. It's the only breast cancer subtype that does not have a drug to prevent recurrence. So you may have heard of somebody taking something for 5 years, something called tamoxifen or some drugs you take for 5 years. Well, guess what? We don't have a drug. We don't have a drug. So that's what I had, triple negative breast cancer, and it's killing us in ridiculous numbers. And so we really need some drugs for triple negative. We now have 3 new drugs that have come on the market for triple negative breast cancer in the last year and a half, but it's for metastatic triple negative breast cancer, not for early stage. So you have to wait till you're really sick. It's like the 3rd line drug of having metastatic disease, stage 4 disease. So you have to wait till you're really sick to be able to have access to these 3 drugs. And guess what? Most of them were not, really all of them were tested with a lot of Black women. The average rate is about 5% participation. So though these companies tried to get Black women in the trial, they weren't able to. So we still don't really know if these drugs are going to work effectively on Black breast cancer. So again, we need more women in the trials, So we have a lot of work to do in order to really change the game on Black breast cancer. So we're working really diligently to talk to more women, to really understand where they're fearful. And one of the things we also know is that about 80% of patients go to a community hospital. So what does that look like in Cook County, Chicago, or in Grady and Atlanta? It's that big room you go into. It's a big clinic with those wooden benches and people sitting there because they're going to wait for 3 hours. They're going to, probably have, bring food for their kids, or, serving the kids PB&J in the corner because they're going to wait there. It's a clinic, right? They may see a different doctor every time. They may not get great treatment because the people are overworked and underpaid, but that's their normal. That's what they're used to. That's what you're used to. And so oftentimes when you get put into a clinical trial situation, they will take you out of that comfort zone of that community hospital that you know and have gone to your whole life, drive you across town in an Uber to the white doctor's office, where there's a beautiful doctor's office with beautiful music playing and no one's waiting in the waiting room. There's beautiful roses on the table, and everyone in the office is white. So you see no one that looks like you. So of course you're nervous, of course you're scared, of course you're uncomfortable because no one looks like you. And they want to stick a needle in your arm of a drug that they don't know about. Not happening. We're not going there, right? So how can we change the game on, and that's what we're working on, working with pharma companies to change what that situation looks like, what that clinical trial opportunity looks like. And if I had a lot of money in my ideal world, I would basically build a clinical trial operation for Black breast cancer patients in every city, every major city. And what would that look like? That would look like a beautiful Victorian house in a Black neighborhood where you walk down the street. You have to walk through that sort of wrought iron gate to get to the front porch. You go up the steps and a Black grandmother, a beautiful Black grandmother, greets you at the door. She gives you a hug. She takes your kids into the playroom, feeds them spaghetti, makes sure they have something to eat and some cookies that she made. She takes you into the living room or the sort of treatment room, but it's a beautiful living room with a cushy chair where she sits you down. She gives you a blanket that she crocheted. She gives you a cup of tea with mint from her garden. She turns on Luther Vandross and she gives you the shot. So there you're totally comfortable. You're not scared. You're in a comfort zone, a place that feels safe, a place that makes you feel powerful. Because right now we're taking the power away from Black women and put them in that uncomfortable environment to give them a trial. So we really have to change the game on how we look at it, how we think about it, how we construct trials so that people feel comfortable to do the work that we need to do to save our lives. We can't afford to keep dying. We can't afford to let the pharmaceutical companies kind of take control of the situation. And so I'm working really hard with my team to work with pharmaceutical companies to explain what's going on, to give the perspective of Black women, of Black breasties, to let them know how we think and how we think about things differently so we can address the issues. I'm going to read you a quote of a Black breastie that we interviewed a month ago, just to kind of depict the fear. Whenever I would hear clinical trial, I would always think experiment because it was never really broken down to me. I never considered it, and I've never been approached personally to participate. But I know that with my former oncologist, I wouldn't say that I trusted him too much. But he didn't really answer a lot of my questions. So you see the fear there. The fear is based on the fact that no one has talked to her about it. No one has given her details about it. No one has explained what standard of care is. And that's what's normally happening. And a lot of times, even one research study shows that 25% of Black women, Black breasties say they were never approached about a trial. Their doctor never asked them about it. So guess what? We have to stand up for ourselves. And I tell everybody, check the breasts that you love. I know you have a pair, especially our young women. Check them when you after you go through puberty, when you're going to the gynae to ask for birth control and you're talking to your mom and you're starting to have sex, you need to be checking your breasts. So you know you're normal. My little fake boobs are bigger than the ones that try to kill me, but I still do check them. And you have to check them and know you're normal. Know what feels right. So when something doesn't feel right, you can advocate for yourself and you can go to the doctor and say, this was not here a month ago. This feels unusual to me. This is not my normal. And you can say it with conviction and credibility so your doctor can't dismiss you. And if he does, go get another doctor. They're only human. They're not perfect. And if they're not giving you the attention and the care that you need and deserve, you have to get another doctor. So know you're normal, know your breast so that you can fight for yourself. And if you do have breast cancer or any kind of cancer, and you feel like there's an opportunity for you to get a clinical trial, be in a clinical trial, then ask for it. Don't wait for the doctor to come to you. If you feel like you could get a better treatment, or you read about another treatment, or you call me and I'll tell you about another treatment that's available to you, we will, we'll help you. Talk to your doctor and demand attention, demand care, demand what you deserve. You deserve to be in the science. You deserve to be a part of making a difference, not only for your own life, but the life of your friends and your family especially in our community. We have to solve for Black breast cancer, and we can't do it alone. We need everyone to step up and say, I want a better way. I want a better drug. I want more help. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. And sometimes takes having something that doesn't already exist on the market. We know for breast cancer, we need better solutions for Black women. We need more help. We need more drugs. It's funny when I talk to a lot of drug companies, they'll say, well, Ricki, what should we do? And I say, well, you make drugs, right? Make drugs that work for us. Our breast cancer is different. Our breast cancer is more fatal. We get it at later stages, and we get more aggressive breast cancer. And we want to live. We deserve to live. We deserve the best care possible. So you can learn more about what I'm talking about and think I'm a crazy person because I'm so passionate about this. But I don't want Belle, my granddaughters, to get breast cancer. I don't want to even exist anymore. And I'm going to fight like a girl every day to try to make that happen. So join me, my website. All of my social media, our social media is actually at Touch BBCA, Touch BBCA, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance. And online, we are touchbbca.org. So join us, join our mailing list. We'll send you great information. Stay up with what we're doing. We actually, as we finish this research and get more insights into how people feel and how we should do the messaging differently to make women more comfortable, we're going to start a movement. And we're going to start a movement to really get people to get on our bandwagon, to understand how to talk about this differently, to help our breasties find a better path to staying alive. So join us, join our movement, join our cause, and help save lives. Pretty much everybody I know has been touched by breast cancer or some sort of cancer. And Black women don't deserve to die of breast cancer at a 42% higher mortality rate than white women. Breast cancer patients don't deserve to have a 71% higher risk of death. And we're going to fix it. We're going to solve it. We're going to change the game. We're going to start a movement. So join our movement. Reach out. My email is Ricki, Ricki, at touchbbca.org. Email me, call me, text me. I'm on Twitter at Ricki Dove or at touchbbca. And we'd love to help you, have you join our movement and learn more about what we're doing. Thank you for listening today. Take care. Be blessed.